¿cómo están? Soy Ricardo Campa y hoy estoy muy emocionado, la verdad, porque está uno de mis grandes amigos, no de México. Es alguien que respeto un montón, que nos ha ayudado un montón para que Headquarter sea lo que es. Y es el señor Chris Gibbs de Union. What's up, man?
Hola, what up?
How are you? ¿Cómo estás?
I'm great. ¿Estás bien?
Eso. Well, first of all, primero que nada, mi inglés no es muy bueno, el español de Chris no es muy bueno, entonces vamos a intentarlo hacer con mi inglés y su inglés. Y bueno, Chris, this project is called La Caminera because we walk around some spots in Mexico
Okay.
and just like talking as a friends,
Yeah,
you know.
I love it.
And after we probably drink a coffee or whatever. But well, first I want to talk about. I know you are from Canada.
Yep.
When you decide to move to States, I know to New York probably first.
Yep.
And why?
Well, my mother's Canadian and my father's Barbadian from Barbados.
Cool.
And he immigrated to Canada with my mother, but all of his siblings, so all of my uncles and aunts, they went to Brooklyn instead. So as a kid, I spent a lot of time in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Like every summer, I would either be in Barbados with my grandmother or in Brooklyn with my grandmother for the whole summer.
Okay.
Like, so I think going there, like especially Brooklyn, hanging out with all my cousins in Brooklyn in the 80s, like it was just super special. Hip hop was just born, really. Like I was going to New York when hip hop was just born.
Okay.
I was I'm the same age as hip hop. So like, so it was really, really special to me. So I knew the minute I was gonna graduate high school, I knew I had to be in New York. I had to.
Cool.
So I took 1 year detour and I went down south for a year in America.
Mm-hmm.
But I eventually ended up in New York in the 90s. I moved to New York in 1994, living in Brooklyn. It was the best time ever. It was just the best. I had so much fun.
And I was thinking because we know each other from 20 years ago now,
Yeah.
around that.
Yeah.
But I know you don't start working in this industry in Union. I think you start with Stussy, right? Or not?
Really, it was with Union.
Okay.
So in New York, so I moved to New York in 94 and I had like some other odd jobs before that. And then I started working for James Jebbia
Mhm.
in 96. And in 1996, he owned Stussy Shop in New York, Union, and Supreme.
Yeah.
So really, I was hired to work at Union, but you would work at all the stores.
Okay.
I would work for Supreme sometimes, not a lot, but or Stussy sometimes I would work in Stussy, but mainly I was hired for Union.
Okay.
And the owner of Union was at the time with James was a woman by the name of Marianne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but at that point, this is what you would like to do, or you just start in this industry because
Honestly,
you were young and
it was just I was in college and I needed a job, and that's the job I got. It could have been anything. At the time, I didn't even know what streetwear didn't even exist yet, right? But it existed, it just didn't have a name yet. In 96, no one said the word streetwear. Streetwear comes in like 2000,
okay.
right? Like it's so maybe later than 2000. Maybe like 96, maybe around 2000, someone starts using that term.
Okay.
So whatever this thing was, didn't have a name. I didn't know anything about it at all. I was totally clueless. I just got a job there because I liked the t-shirts.
Yeah.
And I got, I got the job, but I wasn't like, oh, this is gonna be my career.
Yes.
Right. And I started working there, and 1 year led to another year. I graduated college and I was going to go get a job, like, in the real world.
Mm.
And I was like, you know what? By then I was traveling to the UK a lot.
Okay.
Not yet Japan when I graduated, but the UK a lot. I was traveling. I really liked it. Like working at Union got me into all the clubs and, it was like all the things, I'm just saying. And so I was like, you know what? Let me just and I was making enough money, like not a lot of money, in fact, shitty money, but I was making enough money where like if I got a job, I was going to be a teacher.
Mhm.
I would get the same amount of money working as a teacher. So I was like, let me just keep here for a little bit longer and see what happens. And if it works out, great. And if it doesn't work out, I can always be a teacher whenever. I
Yeah.
could retire now and go be a teacher. So, and then just every year got a little bit better. And I really started to understand the business,
Mhm.
and I liked the business, and I was good at it. You know what I mean? You might say maybe I wasn't good at it. I don't know. But I thought I was good at it, you know? And so I just kept doing it. And then it one day I woke up and this was my career. And I was
Yeah.
traveling Paris, Tokyo, Mexico City,
But
London,
but
you know.
talking about those days,
Yeah.
was probably the
You gotta get the video.
was probably the time that also Supreme was like kind of that Supreme.
Yeah, Supreme was blowing up like crazy. Still like a niche customer. It still wasn't like globally known that way.
No.
But it was Supreme was the thing. You know, by the time like 98, 99, Supreme was like the big thing.
But
You know,
for me,
yeah.
because I mean, I like I used to sell skate things, you know,
Yeah.
like skate shoes,
Yeah.
clothing, whatever. I start my business like that.
Yeah.
But being honest, like for me, like every time that I have the chance to go to New York,
Yeah.
uh, what make me like one of my first buying was in Union.
Yeah.
But because I discover everything that I go there, I discover a new brand.
Yeah, Union was for sure about discovery. So back then, late 90s in Union, like everything we had was independent designers, locally designed. There was a new brand in the store every week. What I liked about Union, like, so what Supreme was doing at the time, which deserves all the like credit,
Yeah.
right? Like, Supreme was elevating skate like a skate brand. It was elevating what you could be as a skate brand,
Mhm.
right? And still is, right? To this day.
Yeah.
And that's special and it deserves credit. I'm not trying to shit on Supreme,
No.
but it wasn't so new. What Union was doing, if you think about streetwear, it was pretty much born there. This category that now runs the world in fashion was born at this store. And so it was more what attracted you
Yeah.
is that there's nothing else like this
No.
in the world.
But the crazy
Right?
thing was that like
Supreme was incredible. Don't get me wrong.
No.
But it's a skate brand, and they were just doing the most dopest, elevated version of a skate brand, in my opinion.
No.
But this thing that was at Union, not because of me. I didn't create it.
No.
James and Marianne created it, but I was working there and seeing it. And just like you, I was attracted to like, yo, in growing up, like especially as a black kid, there were no black designers. There's no black brands. I had to buy, all the name brands, but there was nothing that was made for us, designed by us, independent. And Union was where all these guys, I was meeting all these designers, like 20, 30 brands coming in. There was nothing else like that. Back today, what's really crazy is back then in the 90s, if you were wearing like clothing, you were wearing a logo from a brand.
Yeah.
That's what you wore.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna wear, I don't know, Fat Farmer, whatever, or whatever brand you're into, you would wear the logo, and that's all that it was. Streetwear, what streetwear started as is like, nah, you're gonna wear this art
Yeah.
that represents your culture, not streetwear culture, but just culture, and it's gonna say something. And it was the first time I could ever be like, oh, I don't have to buy a t-shirt that's a logo. I'm gonna buy my first t-shirt that I bought at Union was by that brand Pervert.
Perfect.
And it was just a picture of these three kids, like young kids sitting on a stoop, and it had a quote, which was this Ed O.G. and the Bulldogs quote, which is like a kind of underground hip hop. It said, "Suckers be swearing that they staring is gonna scare me," and I was like, "This is the dopest shirt ever," because that's me. It's
Represent.
not a
Yeah.
logo,
Yeah.
right? And what's really crazy, kind of sad. I get it. I don't get sad about it because everything needs to evolve and change. But what's really crazy is streetwear started as like everything was a statement. Everything you wore meant something. And now it's just a logo. And all the brands that were there doing it then, now you just buy the logo of the
Yes.
brand,
Yeah.
and you're not really into the statement anymore.
It's
But
true.
Union, when they started, everything was special and a statement, and you kind of had to know. You kind of had to be in the know of the culture. It was an amazing time, and I fell in love with it,
Mhm.
and I stayed. I'm still here. I'm still. It's been what, 96?
Yeah.
It's about to be 30 years. I mean, damn.
How you guys or Marianne or
Yeah.
James discover the brands? Just the kids go there and say
I
like,
think-
I'm doing this or
Yeah,
whatever.
I think at the beginning they built this space. They built this very special space, and then people just started to come. Kind of like it's still half that truth. Like people know Union, and they know if you have a new brand and you want to launch it, you come to Union. Now back then, you had no other choice. You were either going to go to Union or you weren't going to be in business.
Yeah.
It was literally that.
Yeah.
Today, there's a million choices. You don't need Union. You know what I mean? But back then, it was the only thing in the world.
True.
In the world, not just New York, not just America. It was the only store in the world where you could start a brand and go there. And if Marianne said it was cool, it was cool.
You remember this store in London and was kind of Union at that point too?
There's a couple. There was Bond.
Bond.
Yeah.
This is what I'm thinking
yeah.
about it. Was kind of the Union in London,
Yeah,
no?
absolutely.
At the
so
same time
I'll say
too, right?
this, the Bond guys could see this and be like, fuck, it wasn't Union, it was us first. Look,
Yeah,
I'm not
doesn't
trying
matter.
to
Yeah,
start
no.
beef. They were there. I would say London was also doing a parallel thing.
Mhm.
Maybe they were before, because I'm not
Yeah.
like a historian. So with all due respect, those guys might have been right before us, but with all due respect, people know Union,
No, yeah.
right? Because New York, especially in the 90s, was the epicenter of global culture in a way that London wasn't.
No.
So they might have even been better. They might have been first. For all I know, they were. But it was happening out of London, which wasn't as relevant globally as
Got
New
it.
York was in the 90s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you're
No.
right. There was them. There was Hideout. There was Hit and
Hideout.
Run, which is Michael Koppelman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Was someone in Japan at that time?
So what Japan? You're asking? Do you want how long?
No.
Is this interview gonna be?
No.
Japan never really had mixed brand stores. Japan is about the brand. Japan's business model for the brand. That's why you go to Japan now and there's bait stores. There's neighborhood stores. Japan's business model was always primarily direct to consumer.
Okay.
The supreme business model, that's Japan.
Yeah.
Because you go to Japan and there's the bait store. When nowhere starts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's them doing their store. They're not making a brand and going and selling it to Macy's and Bloomingdale's and whatever.
Yeah.
They start with a store. Neighborhood, I don't know how many stores Neighborhood has. Bathing Ape, Double Taps, they all have their own stores. They don't really do a lot of wholesale.
Yeah.
It's mainly direct to consumer. Whereas in America, it's wholesale. That's the foundation of American Macy's, Bloomingdale's,
True.
like department stores. Obviously, like, you know what I mean? And so Japan didn't have a lot of mixed brand stores at that time.
Understand.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was mainly about the brand.
Like going to the next step, because I know you was in New York. Someday, I don't know how, like you guys are appear in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Because I suppose Eddie make an agreement with James or
Yeah.
whatever, and they open Union Stussy
Yeah.
in Los Angeles,
So
right?
Eddie was with James from day one. They used to work together before Union. They worked together at a store called Parachute
Okay.
in New York.
Okay.
Which is kind of like the cool Soho store in New York. And then they opened up Union. Union started doing well. Eddie wanted to move to LA. So
Okay.
Eddie moves to LA, and obviously Union's doing really well. There's singing. We might want to go away. Eddie, maybe we should go that way because of the singing. Sorry. But
Okay.
the singing.
Pero no importa.
Okay,
Porque
cool.
lo traen ahí.
Okay.
Sí. No, digo,
Cool.
porque dice que están cantando y se...
Okay, sorry. So Eddie wanted to go to LA. So Eddie moves to LA. when Eddie moves to LA, Supreme's not open yet
Mm,
in New York,
mm.
right? Eddie moves to LA in 91. Union is going and it's going pretty well. And then Stussy is the #1 brand selling in Union.
Okay.
And Sean Stussy becomes really good friends with Eddie and James because Stussy's doing really well and it's kind of cool in New York in that way. And so Eddie, when he moves to LA in 91, right? He partners with Sean Stussy and they open up
The Stussy
one
store.
store called the Stussy Union. It's
In La Brea?
Stussy and Union, same location as we are now.
Okay.
Same location, the Stussy Union. It's
Wow.
Stussy and Union together.
I remember back in the days,
That's
you guys
91.
have in New York, Stussy and Porter.
That
was
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 Stussy.
together too,
Yeah,
or
yeah. Porter was the second.
upstairs? Yeah.
Yeah, the second. So yeah, Eddie opens up in 91 with the Stussy Union. And then eventually, as the brands grow, right? He expands it so it becomes Stussy and Union.
Mhm.
And then at some point, sneakers, obviously much later, 91, 10
Yeah, yeah,
years later,
yeah.
sneakers becomes like the #1 thing. Like it's the #1 moneymaker. It's what everybody wants. These it's really like early Adidas and Nike, limited edition, hard to find sneakers, only available, right?
Mhm.
And so, and then Eddie and James Bond get
Yeah.
together and open up Undefeated, I believe in 2002.
Because before James Bond have this store called Bond as well, right?
He had a store called K-Bond,
K-Bond.
which was kind of like a higher end version of Union
Yeah,
in
yeah.
LA,
Yes.
but like kind of like a little more high end, not so much streetwear,
Yeah.
more fashion focused.
And when you move since LA's Union starts or no?
No, Union started in 91.
Uh-huh.
I moved to LA in 2003. In 91, I'm still in high school in Canada.
No, but I'm saying you was in New York working for Union.
Yeah.
And when Eddie moves to Los Angeles,
Yeah.
you're working already in New York with them.
In New York. I never even met Eddie.
Oh.
When he was in New York.
Okay.
I never met Eddie until I moved to LA.
Wow.
Never met him.
But how was that movement? Why you go to Los Angeles?
My wife wanted to move to LA.
Okay.
She was a filmmaker and she wanted to kind of do film work in LA.
Okay.
And so we moved. And I contacted Eddie like, hey, we've never met, but I'm working at, he knows who I am and I know who you are. I work at the store in New York. Do you have any positions for me? And he was like, no. Sorry, dude, I don't. But I moved out there anyhow. So the first year I was in LA, I didn't work at Union.
Oh.
I couldn't because he had no roles for me. And then I found out he was opening up Undefeated, the second Undefeated in Santa Monica.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, dude, I know I come from Union, which isn't really about sneakers.
Yeah.
Union's not sneakers, but I understand sneaker culture. I know you're opening up Undefeated. Let me work there because I'm working here in LA and I don't like a job I don't want to be doing. I want to be back in this culture. And so my first like job in LA, like after working kind of odd jobs to just when I just got there was actually for Undefeated.
Okay.
Yeah. And then when in 2004, when Supreme opens, they took Berto,
yes,
the then manager of Union, and they made him the manager of Supreme, which left the Union job open. And in 2004, I go to Union LA as the manager.
Got it. And you know what is funny? Because for me, I remember back in the days, you guys every one of you have a Supreme email. And I said, like, what the fuck with this guy?
Yeah.
This guy don't work for Supreme, but Chris at Supreme.
Because early on, like again, based in New York, right? When I was in New York, I worked for James Jebbia, and that was the email. There wasn't a Union email.
No.
It didn't even exist.
But for me, I don't know, it was like everyone wanted to be at Supreme.
But it wasn't so much that we wanted to be at Supreme. Yeah. That was the company we worked for, the owner. That was what I got. It wasn't like I was like, I don't want a Union email.
Yeah.
Hey, James was like, you need to have an email here. It's like not like, and then I just kept it for a while. And technically, like even with Angelo, like we all worked for Stussy, Supreme, Union, at like we worked for James.
Yes.
And of course, like somebody like Gio or Pookie maybe only worked for Supreme, right? And there's a couple guys that maybe only worked for Stussy.
Yes.
But like we all kind of work for the same company that's owned by James, and that's the email he gave us. It wasn't like clout chasing. It was more just like, oh, whatever, who cares? You know what I mean?
And how long you work for Union before you take or you buy Union?
Right. So obviously I started working for Union in New York in 96, and I was there till 2003. Then I moved to LA, and I worked for Undefeated for about a year and a half. And then in about around 2004, when Supreme opens, I go to Union. And then from 2004 to 2009, I'm managing Union. And then in 2009, that big recession comes.
Yes.
And everybody's hurting, and we're hurting, right?
Yes.
And basically, they closed the New York store because of the recession in 2009. And they're about to close the LA store because Union is like a very tough business to run. To buy something from someone else and sell it, with Headquarters, it's very difficult.
Yes.
You're on someone else's schedule, right? With like what they make and what they design. Maybe 1 year it's really good and the brands you carry, and then 1 year it's bad. You don't have any control. You're buying it at wholesale. So you're buying it, you're paying $2 and you're selling it for $4. And those margins aren't good. Like it's not, you know what I mean? Like it's hard, it's very hard business. And you have to keep chasing what's the next brand, right? And so in 2009, when the economy's really bad, the Union suffered more than Stussy or Supreme, because Stussy and Supreme, at least they control their thing, right? And the margins are better. You're making a little bit more money when you sell product. And so they're about to close down. They closed down New York, and Eddie's about to close down LA.
Okay.
And he's like, hey, if you can find a way to take over, and he gives me an opportunity to basically invest in Union and take it over. And at the time, I don't have any money. I'm broke, right? But I eventually found someone to give me a loan, and I was able to take Union over. So in 2010, Union becomes mine.
I remember.
Yeah.
And I remember we were probably in Japan. You were showing me like also some new brands or whatever in Isetan.
Yeah.
And but for me, I never forgot this, because we were in a cab or whatever, and you told me like the crazy thing is like I have this phone, right?
Yeah.
And it's part of these things that Eddie gave me, because if I'm here in Japan, I can contact Hiroshi, Nigo, whatever, because I have this phone.
On that phone.
And that for me is crazy, because at that point, I mean, Japan is still probably one of my favorite cities in the world.
Yeah.
But at that point, it's like Japanese brands were like, wow, everyone want to have like everything from Japan.
Yeah, exactly.
And I remember you telling me like, dude, I have this phone, and I have Hiroshi, blah, blah, Nigo, Junia,
everybody.
Like everyone was. And but
because back then Japan's changed, but when we were going early on, you couldn't use your phone in Japan. They were on a different. Now you can go and your iPhone's going to work anywhere in the world. But back then, you'd have to be on the Japanese system.
Yes.
So because we were going there so much, there was a phone. We had like a burner phone only for Japan.
Yeah.
And yes, it had everybody, every designer in Japan, because Eddie knew everybody.
Yeah.
All their names, so I could call them.
And just to understand, because I mean, I try to be on your shoes, and it's like, dude, you were working for someone. Next day, you have your own business.
Yeah,
crazy. And that's probably the most crazy time, because like I just imagine, like, dude, like your next day was you have to pay employees, you have to pay rent, you have to invest in clothing, and before you have your salary, and that's
Yeah.
it. It's like how that changing your mind
So
and in your
there's a
life.
couple things, and it's probably of everything we talk about today, this might be the most important thing to me, right? Because I would love for anybody to be able to do that. Number one, Eddie was extremely generous with information. He helped me. I didn't do this by myself. It wasn't like one day he's just not available,
Mm.
right? So he helped me. Oh, this is what you have to do. Do this. I can call Eddie, and I still do today.
Wow.
20 years later, no, 2010, 15 years later. Hey, man,
Yeah.
I don't know what to do here. And he'll tell me. So having Eddie not only like giving me his time, but his information, his experience, to this day, I can call Eddie, and I thank him for that. He's always been gracious with his time. But then the other thing, equally important, and this is going to be hard, and I want young people to hear this and it's hard. I understand like what I'm about to say is kind of crazy. When I was working for Eddie, I worked harder than any employee, and I did everything because I wanted to know everything.
Yes.
And so I was ready. I did everything, right? And most people today are real, well, you're not paying me enough for that. Well, I don't get paid to do that, and this, that, and the other. I wanted to know everything. I was the first there, the last to leave. If we were doing bookkeeping, I'd be like, oh, why you do that? What's that for? If we were paying everything, I wanted to know
Cool. Okay.
because I wanted this to be, at some point, I realized this is my career. I have to know everything. One day, I'm not just going to be working for this guy. I'm going to be doing something else,
Yeah.
maybe my own shop.
Mm.
And so I would go in and be nosy. I'd be like, what's that for?
Mm.
Well, I'd be asking questions. I would do it. I would learn it. I even remember telling the bookkeeper that used to do all the books,
How to do
hey,
this?
dude, no, hey, I'm going to do my own thing one day.
Okay.
Learn, because the bookkeeper that used to do the books there, he worked for an accountant.
Mm.
And I was like, you should do what I'm doing. You see how I'm learning everything? You ask the accountant more.
Yes.
Because one day I'm leaving, I'm going to need to know this, and you're going to need to know this. Right?
Yeah.
So I was just hungry for more, and I never thought, because I'd be there till late. I'd be working crazy.
Wow.
And it's not like Eddie's paying me more money
No.
to understand the bookkeeping or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? And but I knew I wanted more. So
Yeah.
I was giving more, maybe even to Eddie, maybe even more than I got paid to do. But I never thought of it as giving more to him. I'm giving more to me. I'm pouring into me. I'm learning, because one day I'm not going to work for him anymore. So I'm going to work harder, not to make him more money, not that I was anti-Eddie, but I was working hard for Eddie to pour into my career. And I try and tell my staff that, and it's hard when you're the boss and you're like, yo, work harder.
Yeah.
But don't work harder for me, work harder for you. If you're on your phone all day, cool. What are you learning?
Yeah.
You're never going to grow. As a boss, it's hard for someone to hear that. But that's what I did.
Yeah.
And so when the opportunity came, I knew what to do. I was ready because I was working. I was doing everything. I was on the buy, the marketing. Hey, we got to do this. Hey, whatever. It was me all the time. Why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing? Let's go do that. Eddie didn't pay me to go do a photo shoot. It's, hey, we've got to sell more of this shit. It's not selling. Nobody knows this brand. Let's go do a photo shoot. Hey, Ricardo, you got a camera? Yeah. Hey, your girlfriend looks cute. Let's get her. Throw her in the shit. Let's just go to the park. You guys, we still do it.
Yeah.
We just got to sell it. We got to do it. And I wasn't getting paid for that, but it didn't matter because I feel like my career, I was pouring, as much as I was doing it for the brand and the store, I was doing it more for me to learn and to know, so that when my opportunity came, I knew what to do. I was practicing. When people come to me now and they're like, hey, I'm a photographer, I want to do photo shoots for you. I'm like, show me your portfolio.
Yeah.
And some people are like, I don't have one. Go do you have a friend? Do you have any good looking friends? I'm sure you have a friend that looks good. There's your model. All right. Do you have any friends that are like designers? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know you got somebody, right? Do you have good style? It doesn't matter. Maybe you don't have friends you have good style. Go do a shoot. Blow me away. Do something cool. Like, sorry, because this might get lost, but there's an American movie called Glengarry Glen Ross, right? That's kind of famous, right?
Mm-hmm.
Back in I think it's a 90s movie. And there's a statement from the movie ABC, always be closing, right? As a salesperson, you've always got to be selling. You've got to be able to make this shit look dope.
Yeah.
And I had to learn that. Sorry, that was a long answer.
No. And telling all this, that what's your favorite part? Because I mean, you have to learn everything.
My favorite part,
but for
is
example,
always okay. Go ahead.
yeah, for example, like I really enjoy still now
Yeah,
sales.
yeah,
I mean, I love to buy,
yeah,
and every time that I receive boxes or whatever,
yeah.
I still open it and
Yeah.
said like, this is cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Or sometimes
No,
I said like, fuck, I make the worst mistake because
yeah,
I don't know why I
What the
buy
fuck
this
did
shit,
buy
you
that
know?
for? Yeah,
And
yeah,
but I'm going every day to the store,
yeah,
like 5 to 8,
yeah,
because I like to recognize what the customer need.
yeah,
And also I like to also to put shoes on them.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
okay, I want to understand you,
Yeah.
because sometimes you can have a customer that come in a suit
yeah,
and it's difficult to get it, you know. It's like,
yeah,
what I sell to this
yeah,
guy.
yeah,
And but for me it's like, dude, the most important part for me in sales is like, you know, recognize a guy.
yeah,
Don't talking about clothes. It's like, I saw, for example, a Rosetta bag.
yeah,
So I start to talk about what he buy
Yeah.
in the bakery.
yeah,
I said like, oh, you try this bread because it's amazing.
Yeah.
The guava thing or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Oh yeah. So them is like, he ate the same than me.
yeah,
So that's the first point. So normally I talk an hour with them,
yeah,
and after 2 or 3 buys, you know, 2 or 3 t-shirt, pants, or whatever,
Yeah.
they have it, you know. But I really still enjoying that part.
yeah,
But talking about like everything, because you are telling me like, for half the business now, you know mostly every department of the
Yeah.
business.
yeah.
What you enjoying the best?
Yeah, I mean, you said it already. Like, probably my favorite part of my career. It's kind of, there's a couple, but sales is one, but it's not so much selling, it's the social interaction, getting to meet new, cool, interesting people. I'm very curious about humanity, just
Yeah.
organically.
Yeah.
And so when you work at a store with the public, you meet all these interesting people.
Yes.
And I just learn so much, and I love that. So that part I love. It's not so much sales.
Mm.
Sales is kind of the residue.
Yeah,
Sales
yeah.
just happens
Mm.
because,
Yeah.
right? What's funny is, and the way we're talking about it, it makes it seem like it's a tactic, and I don't think of it that way. So I just want to make, but like when before working at Union, I worked at a skate shop,
Okay.
like kind of like, it was called Blades Board and Skate in New York, and it was kind of like Zoomies or Pac
Okay,
Sun,
okay.
but for New York back in the 90s. And when I first started working there, I was like, probably some really good advice. And I wish I could remember this motherfucker's name, but like one of the managers was like, hey, you have to establish your own way of approaching someone, right?
Yeah.
And you have to figure it out. I can't teach that to you, right? And if you just go, hey, how can I help you?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't help you. Goodbye. You're not gonna,
Yeah.
like, you have to figure out, and what you said, like find some commonality. Yo, you're a Knicks fan? Me too. Hey, they lost last night. Whatever it is,
Yeah.
just to get the conversation going.
Yeah.
Then you could say, hey, like, let me know what you want about this. But like, so, but the sales part wasn't so much what I like, but the be able to talk social. I like the social kind of learning, meeting new people. So many people I met there, and interesting things I learned, new
Yes.
ideas just from a conversation of someone who walked in looking for a pair of shoes. So I really do enjoy that. I don't do that anymore at all.
No.
I'll admit, I'm not on the sales floor anymore. The other part I really, really enjoy is the buy. I like the edit. I like seeing like new designs, new ideas. I'm a customer first, and
Got it.
I'm buying what's in the store because, oh wow, that jacket is fucking dope. I've never seen anything like that. Whatever, and that's why I like Japanese stuff so much, because it's so interesting and so unique. So I still really enjoy the buy, but as a business owner, I've both had to stop selling because the business is growing and I need to do more, and I needed to get off the sales floor. And that was really hard because
Yes.
that's what I love. That's my first love. Maybe not my favorite, but my first love was interacting with people. And then my second love was the buy. And at some point I stopped doing the buy because we're trying to grow the business and I have to go into other departments, right? Today I'm back into the buy. I'm not doing sales still, but and then you learn, well, I have to do so. I have to figure out marketing. I have to figure out social media. I have to figure out, whatever.
Don't happens to you, happens to me. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's to everyone, but
Yeah.
like people like like to go to the shop, not just because the closing, sometimes because they want to talk to you.
Yeah, and that's more important. That's more important. What I realized recently, I'm just going to be honest with like things we're struggling with today. When Union started in the 90s and all the way through to like, I would say till, let's say 2010, roughly speaking, right? The experience of going to a store like Union was an experience in itself, right? The music we played, the kind of clothing we bought, the staff that was there. When you came as a customer, there's nothing else like this in the world.
Yeah.
So the experience of going shopping was a really cool, new, and interesting and fulfilling experience for the customer. Starting in around 2010 until now, like every store does that.
Yeah.
Oh, we play cool music. Oh, we have cool staff. Oh, we
Yeah.
have this. So it's not special anymore.
Mm.
So the existential problem I think that I'm trying to figure out is, well, we're not special anymore. Every clothing line we have, you can get online from any other retailer, right? The music we're playing, everybody plays,
play, yeah,
right?
yeah.
The staff, every store has some cool, interesting kid who's an artist, but a coffee maker, and they do ceramics on the side. Like everybody has that now, right?
Yeah.
So, and quite frankly, with the younger staff, because at a store that's selling, the sales is the entry level.
Yeah.
So it's a younger staff. And those kids were brought up on a phone. They don't have good social skills. Sorry. So they're not good at the social part. Sales comes because you're good at social. It's not sales. It's not sales first. It's social first. That guy that you said, oh, the Rosetta, and you're putting them on and blah, blah, blah. Oh, and then he's like, oh yeah, I like this guy. I want to buy a t-shirt. I'm supporting this as a institution. I'm not just buying the t-shirt. I'm buying the lifestyle. I'm buying this experience. When I wear this garment, there's more to it than just a t-shirt. Because today, in 2025, there's a bazillion fucking dope t-shirts. So what are you buying? You're buying the experience. You're buying the lifestyle that starts with that conversation.
Yeah.
But if young people are bad at social skills because they're on their phone, you know what I mean? Not all of them. I'm just saying in general.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then if you go to that store and you go to the next store and it's the same shit,
It's true.
because the recipe's out there now. Oh, so for me, my challenge right now, what's the new version how can I recreate that experience that, quite frankly, we need to change.
Yes.
We need to evolve. We need to do something different, because coming into the store and us hanging cool shit that we've curated, right, and playing good music, that's not enough anymore. That's every store in the world now. When we started our boutiques, we were unique.
Yeah.
We're not special anymore. I understand that. So now I'm trying to spend time trying to figure out, all right, what's the next thing? How can we be special? What can we do that will recreate this experience that I want our consumers to have when they come into the store? That's what I'm working. I don't have the answer, but that's what I'm working on now.
I like to question this too, because I remember Union in all these years that we were talking was more focused into the streetwear stuff.
Yeah.
But I remember this time when was your Union.
Yeah.
You guys start to carry more like high-end brands,
Yeah.
like do that movement. Then, like being honest, like every store start to do it. I mean, I copy from you. It's like I said, like, well, if Chris is like start to buying like Comme des Garçons or Margiela or whatever, maybe that's the way to do it. But why? Because for me, it's like Union was like streetwear.
Yeah.
When you guys decide that other way can be interesting or important.
I think it was a natural progression that we start with American-made streetwear that has a certain price point. And at some point, the Japanese see that, and they're inspired by American-made streetwear, and they start making their version of streetwear, Uhara in particular, and just by organically, the Japanese stuff is better. It's better quality
Mhm.
just because they make better quality stuff in
Yeah.
Japan. It's just kind of part of their thing. The attention to details there. And so it's more expensive. So now you take your, I call it streetwear, straight no chaser. T-shirts, hats, hoodies. It's a $40 t-shirt. It's a $120 hoodie, right? That's where, you know, where it starts.
Mhm.
Japan's like, oh, we like that, but we're gonna make it in our own. And now it's a $200 hoodie and a $100 t-shirt, and the quality's better. And you're seeing it, it feels better, it drapes better. You're like, oh shit. So as a kid seeing this progression, I'm like, wow, that's cool. I
Yeah.
didn't even know you could do that. Like mind blown. I didn't never in my mind and growing up, never in my imagination would I think, oh shit, you could make like a really nice hoodie. Like I didn't even think of it. I know it sounds for someone who's 20 listening to this, they're like, yeah, dude. I mean, you know, but back in the day, it never even dawned on me that was possible.
Yeah.
Right? A t-shirt's a t-shirt, screen print, bad, shitty screen print. You know, like I just never thought that was possible. So now with the Japanese stuff, and we start buying the Japanese stuff. We start buying Bathing Ape, Neighborhood Double Taps, Tenderloin. You know what I mean? Core Fighter. All you know, the list goes on, and now remember, I'm a consumer first. I'm like, oh shit, this is nice stuff. I like this, right? But it's more expensive. So now you've got a guy coming in the store who's used to spend who'll spend $300 on a hoodie,
Yeah.
right? I go to Paris for the first time in 2001.
Okay.
2001 is the first time I go to Paris, and the first time I go to a fashion week in Paris,
Mhm.
and that's the first time I'm seeing high fashion.
Mhm.
And so I start walking the shows, and I'm seeing what you would expect: a shirt with the one sleeve here and another sleeve down there, and silk pants and stuff I'm not into.
Yeah.
But in between, there's a flannel, there's a hoodie, there's a cargo pant. And I'm like, oh shit, these high fashion brands, they make streetwear too.
Yeah.
So I start buying the high fashion brands like streetwear. Because now, because of the Japanese brands we have, I've got a guy coming in who will spend $500 on a hoodie. And I'm into it. I like it. Like,
Yeah.
I like that thing. Oh, cool. This is dope. A fucking Luke Wheeler hoodie or a
Yeah.
cashmere.
Yeah.
And so now I'm going to Paris. I'm going to see Fashion Week, and I'm seeing, oh shit, all of these brands, they make streetwear stuff.
Yeah.
You just never would know.
No. Also,
I didn't know until I went there.
also, I remember once you told me to.
Yeah.
Because we were more like buying T-shirts,
Yeah,
just, you know. And you told me like, dude, the new T-shirt is the shirt.
Yes.
So
for a
start to buy shirts.
Yeah.
And I said like, what is he telling me? You know, like
Yeah.
I don't understand because
Yeah.
it's in Mexico. It's still at that point when you
Yeah.
told me, it's like nobody use wear
Yeah.
shirt.
Yeah.
It's like everyone want T-shirts.
Yeah.
Like, and it's funny because in Mexico it's crazy. Like you asked me like 5 minutes, 10 minutes ago, like about like in the store, like you're still selling Maharishi.
Yeah.
And you know what is crazy? It's like people in Mexico, I don't know if it's different because the culture or not.
Yeah.
Like if the clothing, the garment that you buy have embroidery
Yeah.
or like big print
Yeah.
or whatever, for people sometimes it's like, this is more expensive.
Yes.
And
But they're not wrong. That's an embellishment. That costs money. When you see raw denim, none of us, you know what I mean? Like that's the cheapest. When you see denim that's got that
Yeah.
cost, whatever you see, the more they put into it, you have nicks and ticks. That's someone doing that. That
Yeah.
costs money to
Yeah.
make it. So they're not wrong. The bigger print, they might like, it's not so overtly linear. It's not just big print, more money, but they're not that wrong. If it's embroidered, that's another that
No,
costs that's labor.
No,
That's
but
a design
but
idea that
if-
costs more.
but in some point you remember blanks,
Yeah,
nice quality,
yeah,
was like the thing.
yeah,
And on that time, people in Mexico, if I have a white T-shirt,
yeah,
no prints,
Yeah.
and says like $100,
yeah.
they said like
What
fuck
the
you.
fuck that.
Yeah,
I
you know,
get
it's
it.
like
But
it's
like maybe the white T-shirt has a really nice cotton and a really
Yeah.
nice wash, and over time, that's our job to educate the customer.
Yeah.
And I think LA, like, I don't think it's a coincidence that Union, LA was the spot
Mhm.
because in Union, in LA in particular, especially early 2000s, you have a guy with money, like the guy with money who's into fashion is a creative person.
Mm-hmm.
It's a movie editor, it's an art director. They're making good money in Hollywood, but they're creative. So they're open, but they don't have to wear a suit to work.
Yes.
Whereas if you think about the guys in New York that make money, it's Wall Street. They have to wear a suit to work every day. So if you don't have to wear a suit to work, but you still have some money, you're creative, you want to look nice, you want a really dope hoodie.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a coincidence that LA kind of for Union did better than New York. And LA, the Union LA outlived the Union New York because the customer was we're selling to a creative customer who gets it in a way that didn't exist in New York in the same way. That's not to say there weren't creatives with money in New York. It's just a different thing. And then the other thing is full transparency. LA being kind of was more open to like being shown something. New Yorkers, they didn't like, they know. I don't want to be shown what's up. Right? LA is like, nah, put me on. Put me on to some new shit. Right? And so we had a really customer who was into being put on to something, right? They wanted, hey, show me something else. Right? We had earned their trust, earned their respect, and it's a more casual, LA is casual.
Yeah.
It's a casual lifestyle, and we're selling casual goods. You know what I mean? So it kind of worked out for us in a way that I don't think it's a coincidence that the LA store is still here and the New York store is gone. Because it was just a harder thing to sell in New York. This casual Japanese $300, $400 hoodie at the time. Just, like, so it worked out.
One question I have too is it's funny because like I know you are fucking busy, and in the other side you have a positioning on the fitted as well.
Yeah.
How you can do like two things, and what are you doing there? Is art director
for the most part, I mean, remember I told you at the beginning of the story, my first job in LA was actually working for Undefeated before Union. So I have like a family there that's important to me. And everything we do is about community, family. That's streetwear. We were talking today at lunch with, those girls, and we were saying, well, we all know each other. Because the streetwear thing at its core, right? And especially the guys who've been in it for a long time, like you and me and Angelo, like we all know each other. It's family, right? And so Undefeated came to me and they're like, hey, we really like what you're doing with Union, and we want that to continue. That's family to me. Sure, I can help. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm busy, and I find a way, and it's not just me, it's a whole staff. But like, that's family. If we were talking earlier, I was like, hey, if I can help you in any way, let me know. Like, that's how we've come up, is to kind of help each other. Now, the new school kids who don't know each other or don't know us in streetwear, because now I call streetwear, I split it into two things. Not to be like against the new, it's just it's a different, and I acknowledge that it's different. It's not different and worse. It's just different. I call it streetwear BC, streetwear AD, like before Christ, after died, right?
Yeah.
And so we're a streetwear BC, and we operate a little bit differently.
Yeah.
We know the foundation. There's streetwear AD that operates a lot differently. You know what I mean? Again, one's not necessarily worse or better. There's shitty streetwear BC brands and dudes, and shitty streetwear, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And good AD brands, So it's just community. That's my family. If I can help, I do, and I kind of do basically the same thing I do for Union. I try and do for Undefeated, which is just I'm mainly like design director, more than creative director. Just because of the way that companies exist, it's not really built to have a creative director in that same way. But it's family. It's family to me. I mean, like I said, when I first started working for Union in '96, Union's owned by James Jebbia and Marianne. James Jebbia owns Supreme. He owns Stussy. One day I'll come to work and he's like, I need you to do this Stussy thing. I need you to do the Supreme thing. You're not like, well, that's a different store. It's like, I work for him.
Yeah.
Right? in LA, Eddie owns Undefeated, Stussy, Supreme. I'm not Supreme, Undefeated, Stussy, Union.
Mhm.
Like, so I help out with Undefeated sometimes. It's
Mhm,
okay.
mhm.
You know what I mean? It's all family. It's all good.
How you grow your
And sorry to cut you off,
no.
but and the work that I started doing. So when I started helping out with Undefeated, this is gonna sound crazy.
Mhm.
When I started, my first role at Undefeated, like in this new, like later, was designer. I was the head designer.
Oh,
Now it's changed, but when I first started, like 7, 8 years ago, I was head designer.
wow.
Back then, I wasn't a designer. I had never designed before.
Yeah.
They gave me an opportunity, and I was kind of like, wow, like, okay, let me try this. I never designed. And so I was able to learn how to be a designer working for Undefeated. And now I can apply that to other parts of my life. And I might not have ever been able to learn that if I didn't get that opportunity. So, in the same way, you're like, well, how do you find the time? And maybe, I'm like, nah, like I learned things that I really needed to know for my career. Again, I need to know that
Yeah.
because as an entrepreneur, we're entrepreneurs.
Mhm.
I don't think you have a rich mommy or daddy. I don't have a rich mommy or
No.
daddy. I kill what I eat. I eat what I kill. And so I need all these skill sets. I need
Mhm.
to be able to know how to design something. So when Nike comes to me and they're like, hey, we want you to do a collaboration, I know what to do.
Mhm.
I don't have to be like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I was able to learn that thanks to Undefeated.
Well,
So I don't always look at it as just like work and bandwidth and time, although those are also things. But like, what can I learn? How can I get better? If
yeah.
someone gave me an opportunity to learn social media, maybe I should learn that because I'm not very good at it.
Ahora estamos en Lindy, Salud.
Salud.
Es un bar de la Ciudad de México. It's a bar in Mexico City. Thanks for let us be here. And man, like we were talking about your movement to open stores in Japan. Why Japan? And how is like that movement for you and
Yeah.
for the brand?
So as a society, as a culture, as a country, Japan has always been the most supportive, still to this day, of streetwear. Most brands that we all know couldn't survive without Japan.
Mm.
And even if they could survive now, they wouldn't have been able to survive without Japan's support early,
Mm-hmm.
right? Stussy had like 50 stores in Japan,
Wow.
right? Not anymore. But like in the heyday, they had 50 stores. Supreme had 10.
Wow.
Still, right? So generally speaking, just the Japanese culture and people and the market really loves and supports streetwear.
Okay.
So it kind of there's a saying in English, right? Like I'm big in Japan. Kind of funny, right? But like it kind of really works for streetwear. So the our partners in Japan approached me about opening up a store in 2017.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, cool, let's open up a store. And they were like, but one thing, we really need Union to be a brand, right? And at the time, Union wasn't a brand.
Mm.
So that's when our brand started. And that kind of happened around the same time. I was telling you, running a multi-brand store is really, really hard,
Yes.
right? And so the only way to really survive is if you can make your thing a brand as well, which is what we did. So kind of coinciding with opening up the store in Tokyo first,
Okay.
and knowing that we had to become a brand anyhow was always my plan. This was kind of the injection I needed to start that plan.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started doing the brand in and around 2017.
And it's working well.
Yes. Yeah.
And well, just like moving a little bit because when you are ready, we want to have Union at Headquarter.
Yeah.
Just to
Yeah.
let you know
Yeah.
for like 30 time.
Yeah.
All right. And well, I remember the first shoe I think and you designed
Yeah.
was a Nike with pink camouflage with yellow
Yeah.
and blue.
Yeah.
And now you like do tons of collaboration with them.
Yeah.
How's the relation? How do you do? How crazy is to work with Nike and Jordan, and just to have all these? And I suppose I never have a collaboration with shoes, But how is that feeling of you're still having that feeling when you design something and like the people go crazy for it?
Yeah. I mean, it's an amazing feeling. I wish everybody could have it, and I wish it happened all the time. To make something from your heart that comes from you, and people go crazy for it. What's the bad thing there? You know,
Yeah.
it's an amazing feeling. And when working, unlike Union, which is small niche streetwear brand,
Yeah.
so when we make something, and we've been making things for over 15 years, but it's kind of a niche following, a smaller following. Still, people love it, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But because Nike's such a big global brand, when we collaborate with them, it just goes so big.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's just a different quantity, right? Versus quality. It's just so many people, and it's such a big thing. And people really love the fact that also they love the story of like this small brand able to do these big collaborations. So people love that, and they give me energy because of that. So I love it. It feels great to walk down the street and see somebody wearing my shoes, and that's something I designed. I mean, there's no, I mean, maybe love and when your kids were born in marriage, but it's one of the top feelings I could have, and it never. I always appreciate it. I went to a basketball game about a month ago, and I saw like about because the Jordans that we make in particular, it's I feel like that's people's like go out shoes. So if you're gonna go to like a Lakers game or something like that, or a Clippers game,
Yeah.
that's your shoe. So whenever I go to like Clippers or Lakers games, I always see like people like wearing that on. And I'm like, oh, it makes me feel good. And if they recognize me, great. If they don't, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a dream come true. It's been an absolute pleasure. The way I got the gig, that is the opportunity to design, has been really organic. It wasn't like a big plan. It was just somebody, we're sitting down and talking, when I happened to be sitting down and talking with a designer or the director at Nike or Jordan. They're like, oh wow. We start to sharing ideas. Oh, that's a good idea. Why don't we? And then all of a sudden we're working on a shoe or a collection. So it's been amazing. It's been that shoe you're talking about happened in 2006.
Yes.
And then there was a big span of time where we didn't do anything.
Yes.
So 10 years later, Jordan approaches me.
Wow.
It was 10 years between shoes. And then we pretty much had a Jordan every year.
Yeah. For 5 years or
For 8.
8 years?
This one, we're coming in February. You're going to get a limited edition here in Mexico City.
Oh, shit.
Right? You're going to get a super limited colorway that's only going to 5 cities, super limited. So you'll have that in February. But that'll be our 8th Jordan collection.
Nice.
Yeah.
And the decision that have a fragment union is Nike decision, is your decision, is Hiroshi's?
Obviously, dating back to the phone, and when I first started working for Eddie, I've had a relationship with Hiroshi. Hiroshi and Eddie were really good friends, so he introduced me. I was working for Eddie. Over the years, Hiroshi and I formed our own friendship, and I just had an idea one day of like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to like work? So we're both Jordan collaborators. Wouldn't it be cool to do like a 3-way collaboration? I asked Jordan if they liked the idea. They said they did. And so then I asked Hiroshi, do you like it? He said he did. And again, it happened super organically. It wasn't a big plan. It was like, oh, this could be cool if we work on it together. Jordan, hey, you like this idea? Do you like it? I'll ask Hiroshi. They're like, yeah, that'd be cool. I asked Hiroshi. Hiroshi's like, yeah, it's cool.
So are 3 colors.
3 colors.
One exclusive for Union.
There's no Union exclusive.
Okay.
In fact, Headquarters will have a more exclusive shoe than Union. The shoe you're getting, I'm not getting.
Okay.
How about that?
I can sell
So
you
there's
few ones.
3 shoes. There's a shoe that Hiroshi designed.
Okay.
It's super limited. It's only really releasing in Japan through him.
Okay.
I meant that, but then I asked, and Hiroshi asked too. He's like, hey, I want special stores to get it.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, I want my friends. Can we pick some special stores? You're one of them in each geo to get it. So you're getting the shoes. Undefeated in New York's getting the shoes. Paris is getting the shoes, and Korea is getting the shoes. A store in each Star Cow in Paris, and I think I'm not sure the store in Korea, forgive me, but
Okay.
is getting it. And then Hiroshi's releasing it in Japan only. We won't get it at our store in Japan, and we won't get it at our store in America.
Wow.
So that's Hiroshi's colorway. Then there's a colorway that I designed, and that's going to special partners only in America, only independently owned stores.
Cool.
No big box stores. And then there's a shoe that's kind of our collaboration, me and Hiroshi, and that'll go worldwide.
Okay. Well, thanks, man, for let us be part of this. And
De nada.
and my probably
You deserve it.
thank you, man.
You do a great job. I'm happy that we have this friendship and partnership. I love what you do for Mexico. You brought me here 20 years, 22, you said, years ago. And that to this day might be one of my best trips ever. To come here, see the culture, see the people. We went to the pyramids.
Yeah,
everything was one of my favorite trips.
Yeah,
ever.
was
I had
really
such
cool.
a good time.
It was really cool because was
I almost died.
yeah, we went to Lucha
You almost
Libre.
got me killed.
Yeah. We went to Lucha Libre.
Not at Lucha Libre, at some, I don't know, like on the streets.
Yeah,
Somebody tried to like
Some,
kidnap me.
Somebody
Yeah.
was running behind.
Yes, but we had fun.
Yeah, well, talking about Mexico, this is your third time in Mexico, right?
Yeah, in Mexico City.
Mexico City, yeah.
Yeah.
20 years ago, now you are seeing big differences.
I'll say yes and no.
Okay.
The energy of the city, the culture, the people, I saw it the first time 22 years ago. I was like, this place is fucking awesome. I will admit, I was surprised because I think especially 22 years ago, the media, how they represented Mexico was unfortunately unfair and unkind. I didn't know any better. So when I got here, I was like, yo, this is the fucking dopest city on earth. How come nobody knows about this? This is 22 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's been like that for fucking 100 years. How does nobody know? How come no one's talking about it? So the thing that's changed is people know now.
Yes.
That's the only thing to me.
Yeah.
Is that people now know. But it was dope. When I came here 22 years ago, it was fucking incredible.
Yeah.
An incredible city. I had the best time then. I had the best time when I came 2 years ago. I wish I could come more often. You need to get me down here more often.
Of
What the
course,
fuck
man.
you doing?
Yeah.
No, but you say that, but
No.
it's been 22 fucking years. Like, what the fuck, man? I mean,
let's do every year a trip.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
I
So
know.
that's the only difference is that the world found out. And I think some people don't like that. The secret's out. I'm sorry. But it's a beautiful city and an amazing culture, amazing people. I love it.
Let's talk about what's the reason for you here.
Let's
Because,
talk about it.
Like it's crazy, but it's good. And I talked to you 2 years ago when you was here, and explained you like how Mexico or at least my store need to be more internationally recognized.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like you talk to the brands that you work with. Sometimes they don't understand.
Yeah.
It's like I said, like, dude, for me, this is not just about money. You know, it's this is my passion. You know, this is how I work. And sometimes when I go and I says like to whatever company, hey, why we don't do a collaboration? You know, you help me to like the people understand like Headquarter is the store in Mexico. You know. And sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no. But at the end, it's like Angela told me right away yes.
Yeah.
And when I asked you, you told me right away yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why for me it's like, dude, this is how like friendly relations works better is when it's not about money.
Yeah.
And for you and me, you said like, I don't know what you want to say, but it's yes.
Yeah.
And I showed you some stuff, and we started to work on it.
You killed it.
And dude, like you are in Mexico because we are celebrating
Thank you.
like the 20th anniversary, but it's the 22nd anniversary of Headquarter.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's like just I hope you enjoy it. I know it's a quick trip, but I think it's important for the people in Mexico know you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just like seeing you in the cell phone or whatever. It's like you know you. For me, seriously, 20 years ago, I remember Eddie sending emails and contact people because I never forgot, like he asked me, which brands you want.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And I said like
That's
a
amazing.
neighborhood, peace being, whatever name.
Yeah.
And he started to contact people.
Yeah.
And I remember like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when I lived in Canada, I asked you for a few favors.
Yeah.
You always said yes.
Yeah.
And now, for first time, we have a collaboration together. It's I think it's with Mexican.
2 parts too.
Will be in 2 parts, but it's a Mexican. Pedro Alvarez is the designer that do the graphic, and it's a tattoo artist and one of the
Amazing.
old school artists in
Amazing.
Mexico.
I love the
And
design.
for me, is I remember you guys did a collaboration with Supply a long time ago.
Mhm.
He put a skull in the logo, right?
Yeah.
And always it's in my mind, and I was like, dude, I want to do something that represent Mexico.
Yeah.
And like the logo that you guys have, that is a dancer,
Mhm.
because I try to.
It's not a dancer, but go ahead.
Well, I read about like something like a jazz thing, but you will
Yeah.
tell me.
It's okay.
And for me, it's like it's really representative. It's like really something that is strong.
Mhm.
Because for me, also, just to tell you, like you probably know Gaston in Los Angeles, right?
Yeah.
And you remember this store, and he have a helicopter as a logo.
Yeah.
Span of Sunset.
Yep.
And so when I saw that for first time, I said like, dude, this is amazing. You know, you don't have to put a name for a store.
Yeah.
The logo is stronger than the name. And when I moved to Canada, you know the story. I was having some problems here in Mexico, so I decided to move to Canada. And I said like, okay, war tank is what represent me, because it's a war for me. Do all these movements because I don't want to go there.
Yeah.
I was happy
You
here,
want to stay home.
you know. And I moved, and I decided to like do something with the tank. And now it's like seeing the t-shirts that we did with the tank logo and with the union. It's really amazing, man. So I don't know what you're feeling, because you do a lot of collaborations, but probably the first time.
No, I love it.
With Mexico.
I love it. I mean, and I'm saying this not because we're on camera, but like I love your art direction. It's always amazing, and everything you do, especially when it connects to Mexico, it's incredible because the culture here is so rich. There's like every time you do something, you're telling us, I didn't know about that. Like so rich, and nobody knows, or nobody on the outside knows. So I knew first of all, because of our friendship, we're gonna do the collaboration. Second of all, I know it's gonna be dope as fuck because I didn't design it at all. I was like, yeah, just design it. Cool, we'll do it. And your version, we call our logo the front man.
Okay.
Your version of the front man, that we're the both, because there's part 1 and part 2. Sorry, I don't know if no one knows about part 2, but it's coming out next year or later next year, right? But both are my favorite versions of our logo. Favorite. I love it. Really, really dope takes on our logo. My favorite of all time is both 1 and 2 are yours. So I hope people like it. I think you killed it on the design, and that tattoo artist is amazing. I'm just excited. I love it. I love that collection. It's incredible.
Well,
I hope people like it.
yeah,
I do. I'm super proud of it.
Me too.
You know, and there's a story that's being told as well beyond just the design.
Well, Chris, like I really.
So thank you, man.
No, I really appreciate that you are here. I really appreciate you always help. And well, see you tomorrow. Or maybe the people will see this after. But tomorrow and on Sunday we will have a pop-up to show the collaboration between Union and Headquarter. Next year we will have a next collaboration as well.
Yep.
And thank you for taking the time.
Gracias.
Gracias, amigo. Cool. Gracias a todos. Espero que les guste esta primera en inglés. Y bueno, vamos a seguir trabajando para que pasen cosas con gente tan importante como el señor Gibbs. Y pues gracias. Hasta la próxima.